All right, his eyelashes and his beard is frozen.
Blah, blah, blah.
I certainly enjoy intentional homemaking during my slow living moments. Dear Diary, or shall we say journal, do you remember the entry I made about not wishing winter away? Well, let's modify that a bit. I am wishing a lot of snow away. 362 days ago, it was 60 degrees, and I only know that because I flipped back in my journal to take a peek. But then we had a snowstorm in April of a foot of snow, so I guess this is normal here in this part of New England. But I think what I'm going to do is some small projects around the house. I'm going to do a little bit of home decorating, a little bit of in-house gardening. I have some things I need to fix, and we need to pack some things up for the renovation that is inevitable here at the house, and I'm almost looking forward to our renovation, even though I don't know when that's going to happen. Our old New England home in the country is going to get a little bit more attention than we had expected. Well, even though Willow does not like the amount of snow when she goes out in the woods to the office, she is absolutely enjoying her time outside. I got to view a little bit of water aerobics, or should we say snow aerobics, this morning. And we also have our pet blue jays hanging around still, eyeballing the paint that they're ready to peel off the house. But on this day, I'm going to give them some more eggshells. I probably should have left them on the plate, but no. I threw them in the snow, and I was very pleased to see that they enjoyed them. Well, that's random. Hey, Leaf, you're a little bit late to the party. It's winter, not fall. I don't even know where that came from. I should compare the footprints to whose foot belongs to these, just like they do on detective shows. And while a crew we had to hire to clear off the roof is working away, one of the blue jays is watching from the distance, waiting for them to leave so he can return and eat more of our house.
So many of you said I was calm and cool discussing the leaking roof, and I agree. I am probably calmer than most. But this morning, both Ben and I woke up feeling anxious and shaky, and I think it's because we are dealing with this, and we know it's going to just keep getting worse, and it is getting worse. Luckily, we have great insurance, and we're talking to the adjuster. They've returned our call, the claim is set, and then we're just going to go from there and figure out the next steps. And I mentioned it, I think, in last video. It doesn't have to do with old houses. It happens to new houses too. It's with roof lines, it's with circulation, all kinds of things. So we are dealing with it. better than most, and there's nothing we can do. So that's kind of how we're looking at it. And we were prepared to do all of this construction after the barn. So now it's probably just going to be bumped up ahead of time if we can find contractors. We might even have to go into another state. And what else was I going to mention? I was going to mention something else that somebody asked. Oh, they asked if we're going to be putting off the barn. No, we're going to be doing everything all at once, and once again, hopefully get as much done here at Sugarwood as possible so that we can finally enjoy the house. And if a few things crop up over here and there, which always do happen with an old house, so that does happen with old houses, we'll be a little bit more at a slower paced mode. So right now I'm getting ready. I'm gonna get myself suited up, and I'm meeting a few of the neighborhood ladies for coffee and chit chat. A little bit of cabin fever going on here in the neighborhood, so I'm picking up my friend across the street and we're going to go take a little drive, literally minutes away, to this wonderful new coffee shop that was on Chronicle recently. For those of you who are in New Hampshire, Bob's Chocolate Cafe was just on there. All right, so I'm gonna get ready to go. I just fed my stepdaughter. Ben's coming home from the gym. We're gonna be passing on the road, and I will see you in a while. Oh boy, tight fit. All right. This is gonna be nice just to get out and about.
If anyone says you eat too much chocolate, stop talking to them. You don't need that kind of negativity.
I'm gonna be sitting up there. Everybody's already up there, but I'm just gonna place an order. I grabbed my coffee. Okay, Dr. Linda here is going to do a little surgery. I'm going to relieve some of the pressure. I think I'm going to get my drill and I'm going to drill right where it's dripping and try to relieve that area. I'll have to get a bucket for that too. But I just want to stop it from creeping even further. So if I can at least give it a place to come out, I think we'll be a little bit better. The ceiling's gonna be replaced anyways. I don't mind making a hole. I'm going to try to do a floor plan, but the reason I firmly believe that the water's coming from the tavern, the door we have here, here's my pointer, it's actually my spatula that was on the chair. The door that's here, this is part of the old house, actually up to this wall. And that also means that the part of the bathroom that was part of the old house is where the toilet is, or I like the word loo from our English friends, where the loo is, and the shower. So that area has all the same beams that would be running towards this room. And then what I'm standing in right now is the addition, part of the addition when they did our, where our bedroom is now. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. but I'll show a floor plan of how the house was and then added to, and that will give you a better idea of why I believe the water's coming in here. But right now I'm gonna open this up. I have to get my drill bit and we're gonna give it some areas to come out of. I grabbed this old floor plan of our house. This is actually something that I worked on, putting all the dimensions of the rooms when we first moved here. But what I was saying about the old house and how the bathroom was part of it, I'm going to use my little pointer here. This section would have all been part of the original cape. So where I was standing was right here. And what I was talking about is if this was the old cape right here, the water that was coming into the tavern was following beams both this way and this way. So we just had a company come out, and unfortunately they're going to have to cut holes in the ceiling. They're going to be putting some fans. Upstairs they're going to be cutting out the bathroom floor. They're going to be cutting out part of the wall in Emma's bedroom. They are going to be tearing up part of the carpet, and they're going to be doing some drying out for a few days. And then a construction company will come in and we're going to go from there. So that's what I just wanted to show you. This bathroom where we were standing and that water was coming out of the ceiling right here used to be part of the old cape, which was just this original rectangle. That is all. Here is my quiet, fine living Zen moment. I'm just going to start clipping some of these roses that need to be deadheaded. At one point I'm going to need to cut the roses down because they're starting to get leggy, but not today. I don't want to do too much to them at once. If I'm having trouble with this little stem, my shears must be getting dull. I'm going to do a little quick fix. I have a file I've shown before. I just keep it here in the kitchen. I use it on my scissors, my knives, and I just do a little bit of filing just to get rid of some of maybe a curved edge. I just want to sharpen it a little bit. So all I'm going to do is go in the direction of the angle on these shears on both sides, just to help get rid of that rolled edge that might be there and to sharpen the edge so I can go through the rose stem. Now I do have a stone that belonged to my father, and he would sit in the kitchen, get everything together that needed sharpening. He'd have his oil out and he'd sit there with the stone and go in one direction and then tiny little circles
I'm not an expert, but I do it the way that I watched my father and works for me. Just seeing this tiny little rosebud, I love it. Those weren't there when we first bought the flowers. What I thought was going to be a simple Zen-like task was replacing the candles in my chandelier. I love to use dripless, and these are about as dripless as you can get. There's a couple here and there. They will burn right down to the socket. Now in most cases I can just pull the rest of the candle out, but you're going to see that one of them gave me trouble, so I ended up taking a dryer and heating them, and well, you'll see. There has been many times that I've considered putting an electrified chandelier here. Now I wouldn't have any holes drilled because I don't want to go through the ceiling or any beam here. I would probably just run a wire along the beam, across the ceiling, and then down a corner to plug in. But then I realized how much I love having natural candlelight here in the dining room. It's magical and it's very relaxing. And I like having the candles. And with these dripless candles, it really works well. I found this chandelier at a thrift store, and I believe I paid $15, maybe $20 for it. It's in an old video, and I know the price wasn't that much. So that's another reason I love having this piece versus having the one in the kitchen that was brass, and I spray painted it with flat black. I love that one too. If this was a small candle holder, I would have either used this technique or I would have put it in the freezer, which also helps get wax out. And depending on the metal, I would even put hot water on it to try to help do that. But since this was a large piece, the hairdryer worked fine. It just took a while. With all of the water damage that we've had in the house, I'm just checking these beams just to make sure, but everything's good. Knock on wood. Now, if anybody's wondering why I didn't put the candles in while it was on the table, trust me, I thought about it, but then I also had a vision that if I did that and slowly put it up, one was going to fall out, one was going to break, and I wouldn't have another candle to replace it with, so I opted to do it this way. Having the table out, I was going to try it in the opposite direction. I change it up every year and just move it around, but after looking at it, I decided to keep it the way it was. I even considered putting the leaf away so that it was just a circle, but why change things? I'm just having fun changing out candles, so I left everything the way it was for today. Now during the storm, this was a cold and blustery one, and I did not like seeing Ben having to go out each time and snow blow and rake off the roof. And I had a hard time with this because usually I'm out there helping at least with shoveling, but his beard and his eyelashes were frozen. Poor guy. It snows off the roof, but now it's here. And I have another little ice dam starting up there. When we're in the backyard, I love getting this whole different view of Sugarwood, but in a moment I'm going to show you what this huge pile of snow looks like from inside the butler's pantry.
Where is she going, Frederick?